This episode of Krazy Ken's Tech Misadventures is sponsored by Linode. Okay, let's. Oh, oh,
Whoa,
what the?
whoa.
What the is going on here? We're gonna be here for a while. Oh. Hey guys, how are you all doing? Really, that's just great. You know, I'm doing pretty great today too because I'm here in the lair, and yes, 10 stories above us, there is a pandemic going on and a lot of other things I don't want to talk about. The world's a scary place. But I have friends with me today. Maniac Mike and Brainiac Brent are here.
Hey!
Yeah, they're gonna help me with a quick little project today, and we're gonna be upgrading the SSD inside this MacBook Pro. This is a late 2013 MacBook Pro 15-inch with Retina display, and it's been my daily driver for 6.5 years. But it only has a 512 gig SSD in it, which is pretty good, but after 6.5 years and constantly fighting with keeping the space free, it's becoming a little bit of a problem now. So, we're gonna put a new SSD in it. Brainiac Brent, if you would do the honors. Thank you for handing me that. So we went to OWC and got an Aura SSD. This is a 1 terabyte SSD that we're gonna throw in here, and it should be pretty straightforward. Then we're gonna use Time Machine, which is the Mac's built-in backup feature, to restore the system that's on the SSD in here currently to this new SSD. Now, if you're new to the Computer Clan channel, first of all, welcome. Second of all, Krazy Ken's Tech Misadventures is definitely not a dedicated how-to series. We experiment, we tinker, and sometimes things go wrong. And we like to document that stuff for fun. But you can absolutely learn stuff from us too. So, let's unbox this boy. So apparently this came with a $100 wine voucher. But yeah, so Maniac Mike or Brainiac Brent, if you actually want to take this and give it to a loved one, you can have a $100 wine voucher. Yes. Every computer geek like me loves to upgrade SSDs and then, oh, right in the face, and go out and get some wine. So.
It's a good celebration, you know?
Yeah.
Once you've done the job successfully.
You know, that's probably what it is.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, here we go. I was about to say it's a little bit smaller than I thought it was, and now everybody can make dirty jokes. So yeah, that actually is a little bit smaller than I was thinking, but it makes sense because we're working in a laptop here. And I think that's it. Oh, hang on, there's a piece of paper in here. Important notice, macOS 10.13 High Sierra or later must be installed on the host computer before installing the Aura Pro X2. These OS versions include an EFI firmware update on your Mac. Without the update, the host computer will not recognize the SSD. Good to know. We are running macOS Mojave, so we'll be fine. Okay, let's, oh, that came out a little bit quicker than I wanted it to. Don't touch the contacts. Like I said, yeah, I'm not really a professional, but it's okay, we have fun. So yeah, this is the terabyte SSD. So now, I'm gonna set that off to the side. And it's always good to have one of these on standby. This is the awesome iFixit, I think the Tech Tool Pro Kit, whatever it's called. I don't know if any of you guys know. Greg Hrutkay from Hrutkay Mods generously donated this to me. So we will use this to open up the computer. So MacBook Pros, well, pretty much all Apple products use that pentabular screw, so we need to get a pentabular bit. Pentalobe?
Can I see?
Yeah. You wanna? Yeah, it's kind of like a flower. It's got 5 little.
I call that torque.
But this is called pentalobe.
Oh, no, it is labeled P.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. It's a pentalobe. Yeah, so you need a little bit of a special screwdriver, but that's okay. These iFixit kits are awesome. So, oh, something fell over there. Let's go ahead, and what I like to do is just set out a little towel because I want to treat my computer with the utmost care. And I don't want to scratch it up, even though it's made of a durable aluminum frame, as I say, while looking at the 2 scratches on the bottom.
It's already scratched up, anyways.
Well, on the bottom, I mean, the top is pretty clean, though. 6.5-year-old computer, guys. This thing looks pretty dang spotless.
The lid is very nice.
Oh, thank you so much. I made it myself.
By hand. How'd you do the light, the Apple logo?
I can't talk about that.
Proprietary trade secrets.
Trade secrets. All right, so let's go ahead and take this apart now. So more specifically, I'm actually using a P5 bit. So it's a pretty tiny, like 5-spoked bit to get into these Apple products here. So let's just go ahead and unscrew these. And also just as a general note, one SSD does not work with everything. I mean, even the MacBook Pros, even though there's some similarities and the models may be similar, there's some big differences where certain Macs will not work with certain SSDs. Typically a website will tell you the compatibility. All right, so we have all the screws out, and sometimes this guy's a little stubborn. Pop it up. There we go, we got it.
Get it out of the way first.
All right, oh yeah, you can do that. So here's the SSD, and I should actually maybe have mentioned this earlier, but again, this isn't a dedicated tutorial. But before you rip the current SSD, which is down there, out of your system, make sure, well, you have your data backed up for a restore, and also make sure the backup actually works, because the restoration needs to be bootable. Now, there's different ways you can migrate your data over to a new SSD, but in my case, again, I'm using Time Machine, and that's built into macOS recovery mode. All right, so let's pop out the old SSD and pop in the new one. Okay, so while we're in here, we're just gonna dust it off a little bit, because it's a little dusty. I don't have any compressed air, so I'm just gonna use a cotton t-shirt to wipe it down. All right, so here's the 512 gig SSD, Samsung SSD, that is currently in the system. We are now switching to a torque bit. And, oh shit.
That's interesting.
There's, that's a speaker, so there's a magnet there.
Oh, yeah.
That was a T3, let's try T4. There we go. Okay. And there we go. There's our older SSD, some dust under there. Let's grab my professional t-shirt.
100% cotton. That's professional.
So now we'll put the Aura in there. See, I'm not, I do have butterfingers. I really do. So this was a little stubborn. I didn't want to break anything, but yeah, I just had to like jiggle it back and forth a little bit and keep pushing forward, and then it settled in there. Now we'll take our torque screw and screw that back in. And there we go. Okay, let's get the bottom case back on. And then start screwing in all the pentabular screws. Oh wait, I'm still using the torque bit. No wonder they're not fitting on the... Gotta switch. And before I reassemble, I just want to remind you that these two screw holes are 2.3 millimeter screws, and the rest are 3, so make sure to keep those separate. All right, let's put that in. And that's the last screw. All 10 are in. So let's flip it over, boot it up. Well, not boot it up, turn it on. It should give us the blinking question mark, but everything else should be operational. That's a good sign. And we should get a blinking question mark. Taking a little while. Anyway, while that's loading, I just want to show... Oh, there we go. We got the question mark. That's perfect. So what we're going to do is we're going to boot off the backup on here, because recovery mode has some special feature that works with Time Machine drives, and this is a Time Machine drive. So let's go ahead and plug in the Seagate here and reboot the computer. Okay, so I held down Option for the boot picker. Oh boy.
I don't...
Oh, you know what? Let's just go into internet recovery.
You don't have to reboot. You can just select the network.
Command R.
There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
Listen to me.
No, that's okay. So recovery mode is a cool built-in feature, but typically it's installed on your SSD alongside your operating system. We just put a fresh new SSD in here and there's no recovery mode on it. But thankfully, we can just pull a recovery system from the cloud.
I'm usually used to Time Machine making a recovery partition on your drive, though.
I thought it did that, but I also do have this dual partition anyway, because it's also the backup for my RAID.
They might not have done it.
Yeah, I might have just messed with it, and it was like, I can't figure it out. So, but it's fine. We have internet recovery. That's really all we need. So then we'll format the SSD and then go into Time Machine restore mode, and everything will just magically transfer back over. And basically we'll pick up where we left off, but now with double the space. So Maniac Mike just reminded me that, yeah, because I don't have the network selected, internet recovery actually may not know what network to pull from.
That's what I was actually trying to say earlier.
Yeah,
And then I was like,
I didn't listen. I'm sorry.
We don't need to do that. Oh wait, we actually do.
Sorry, I thought this system was smart enough to go, oh, you need to connect to a network first. But yeah, Brainiac Brent reminded me when I do live broadcasts, I, just have this nice this Ethernet with some conversion technology on the end. So maybe it'll just work when we plug it in. Maybe we have to reboot. Oh, shit.
Whoa!
What the?
Whoa!
Did it do that before I plugged that in?
It was like right before I plugged it in. So it must have known what Wi-Fi to pull from.
I guess so.
Okay. I was originally concerned that I may not be able to. Oh, shit. This is Mavericks. This should still work, though, I think. It should give us all we need.
If time machine backup,
Yeah.
it might pull your system.
Let's go ahead and make sure this drive is wait, what?
It's Mavericks. It doesn't understand.
Oh, that's right. See, that's what I was expecting to see. It gives you a little time remaining thing. Now it should get a newer operating system on here. All right, Brainiac Brent, toss me the flash drive. Okay, so what we're going to do is we need to get a bootable Mac OS on this flash drive that's new enough to be able to read the SSD so we can format it and then run the time machine restoration process. So we busted out a MacBook Pro to be able to download an image and get this drive bootable. And as a backup, just in case this doesn't work, we have the Mac Mini sitting over there, which we can use to get an image on here. So then basically, we just plug the flash drive into the MacBook Pro back here, and then we boot off of it. Now, should we have had something bootable earlier just in case? Sure, that would have been nice, but I didn't really think about that. I didn't think that would be necessary. The reason why we can't boot up the MacBook Pro right now to get something newer is, well, the internet recovery runs too old of an operating system, and the newer recovery mode is on the SSD we took out of the computer. So we're a little bit SOL there, so now it's time just to download an image and pray. Colin Dude is going to save our butts again. I really should get more flash drives with macOS installers on there because I have images, but they're all residing on an encrypted APFS volume right now. When you encrypt a drive through the Finder, it converts HFS to APFS, so I can't mount any of that stuff on here and just take the image and put it on the flash drive, of course. Yeah, Apple and backwards compatibility isn't the greatest thing, but we're also talking Snow Leopard, so. So we're going to boot into Windows 7, which I just happen to have on this computer, which has newer browsers. We're going to get an image, load it into the Mac partition, run the terminal command to restore it bootable to the flash drive, and everyone will be freaking happy. Now, you may be wondering, Krazy Ken, why didn't you just put this in an external, like, NVMe thing and just plug it in and image the data over? I could have. I just don't have an external, like, thingamajig to do that. I have a SATA one, but I don't have one that fits this SSD, unfortunately. But I thought Time Machine would be nice and easy, but nope. Totally forgot. I have no way to actually access the Time Machine data right now. That was an oversight. Congratulations! Welcome to the Krazy Ken's Tech Misadventures show. Enjoy your stay. Yeah, we got to do a mirror because the other one did not work. All right, so we're downloading the patcher just to get easier access to the actual installer from Apple. We're not actually using the patcher for anything we don't need to.
Good news is the patcher will, or at least should, run in Snow Leopard, so we can at least download the installer.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. Is it actually going to work in Snow Leopard? Snow Leopard's pretty old. You think it's going to work?
Maybe.
One way to find out.
We're going to find out. This is so much fun.
No, that doesn't.
Oh, Dude, I love you so much. You're amazing. Yep, Command D. And download Mac OS. Save it to the desktop. Boom. Dude is fucking awesome. He's saving our bacon.
I love that download direct from Apple.
He's saving our ass. Mountain Lion is still going along okay. We're putting that on the Mac Mini just as a backup solution. Of course there's an error. Why wouldn't there be an error? It's too easy if there's no error. So we'll eject that, throw that in the trash, and throw this in the trash, and we'll try again on the Mac Mini. But before we continue, let's take a quick second to talk about Linode. No matter what skill level you're at, or what technology stack you use, Linode makes it easy to give your creations their own personal space on the internet. If you just need something small, like a simple website, game server, or personal VPN, Linode has you covered. If you need to manage tons of websites and reliably serve them to millions of visitors, well, guess what? Linode can do that too. Unlike entry-level hosting services that lock you into their platform, Linode gives you full back-end access to customize and control your server to fit your needs. Their DNS manager allows you to easily switch your domain to your new server, and SSL certificates can be installed for free using open-source tools. And here's another cool thing. If you run into any problems getting set up, Linode comes with amazing 24/7 customer support by phone or ticket, along with hundreds of docs to help get you started. And because you're here, and because we're all best friends, you amazing Computer Clan viewers get a free $20 credit on a new Linode account. You can sign up with the link in the description. All right, now back to the Mac. What the is going on here? We're gonna be here for a while. Oh. Did we just time travel? What happened? Okay, so now the download of Mountain Lion is done and it's performing the installation phase, and hopefully we'll be able to use this newer operating system on a newer Mac and actually make some progress with downloading the image we need and being able to restore that to the flash drive, because that other MacBook was just not cooperating well. We'll see. All right, we got the bong, so the installation just finished. We are now rebooting into Mountain Lion. While that's loading, I'm gonna go ahead and get the Ethernet plugged in. Just to be sure, just in case the Wi-Fi was causing any issues. Okay, we are done with the setup assistant, and look at that Mountain Lion desktop right there. Okay, let's make sure we're on the Ethernet. Ethernet is connected. All right, let's go to DasDude's website. Natively supported machine, we got that. Download, yes, to the desktop, boom. Great. Do note how much faster this is going on here. We're already almost at like 3/4 of a gig.
Oh,
and before,
a lot faster.
Yeah, it's a lot faster. And hopefully we don't get an error like we did last time. All right, Brent's gonna but insert the flash drive into the computer. We're almost done downloading the DMG, so then we just need to run a little command that, yes, we do need to initialize this. What's even on here? Wait, you put a Linux distro on here. Yeah. So let's format this as macOS Extended Journaled. I'll just call it Untitled 1 because we are original. Okay, so while that's doing its thing, I'm gonna move this installer into the applications folder just because the terminal command is, the syntax is already set up to look in that directory.
Hey, Ken.
Yes?
You want to make things a lot more easier. Rename Untitled 1
Oh, yeah.
to whatever
Yes.
that says. I think it's
oh, no,
my
it's,
volume.
Oh, I guess we could just do that so we don't have to change it. Sure. Let's just call it my volume. And I'll make this big so everybody can see all the fun times we're having. So, what it's doing is it's running a command inside the application, the installer application, called create install media, and it's going to put that on the volume, my volume, which is the flash drive we just inserted. So let's go ahead and run that. And let's see, we need to erase, so we're going to say Y for yes, and it's going to do its thing. And then it's going to basically make a flash drive installer. Okay, the operation is done, so now we can close out of here and eject the flash drive. So if everything worked according to plan, what we should be able to do is plug the flash drive into the MacBook Pro, boot off of that, connect the Time Machine drive, unlock it, and format the SSD, and then restore. What could possibly go wrong? Well, let's find out.
Everything.
Oh, thank you, Mike. You're making me sad. But you're also getting my expectations set, so thank you. So we'll hold down the Option key, and hopefully it shows up. I see it blinking, so it's reading something. There we go. Install macOS Mojave. DasDude saved our butts. After a little bit of hoop jumping, but that was mostly our fault. Anyway, boop. We're gonna load in the, there we go. That's what we wanted. A white apple on a black background, so.
And a loading bar.
And a loading bar, not the little cartwheel. So that means we're going into a newer system that will be compatible with the SSD and with our Time Machine backup. Okay, now we're in a newer recovery mode. Hopefully we can read the SSD. If we can't read the SSD, then it must be installed wrong. Nope, there it is. OWC Aura Pro X2, and it looks like it's already formatted as macOS Extended Journaled, which is awesome.
They gave it a special icon.
Oh, dude. That is cool. That's pretty sweet. It's gonna be APFS later anyway, so we might as well just do that now. Let's close out of there, restore from Time Machine, choose Time Machine, then we just have to unlock it, and it should give us a list of dates. So we say continue. I haven't done this in forever, but it should. Yep. There we go. macOS 10.14.6, which is Mojave, or Mojave, I guess. And it was backed up earlier today. That's when I was checking it, and it did work, but I only checked it up to this point. Now we do that, and we say destination, macOS. The system will be restored to this disk, restore, and it'll erase. I had File Vault turned on earlier. It must just realize I had that encryption feature on. It's warning me it's going to be off now, but we can always turn it back on later. So now, Time Machine is going to restore from the external hard drive, which is plugged in here, onto the new SSD we just installed. And that should be it. Of course, with how today, yeah, knock on wood, with how today's going, I won't be surprised if something else weird happens, but I've used like the migration assistant before and Time Machine Restore before, and it's like usually pretty solid, so I think we're okay. All right, we're almost at 2 gigs. We got about 500 more to go, so sit down and get comfortable. I'm just gonna pause our transmission for a bit. Since this Time Machine Restore is gonna take about 3 hours, Maniac Mike thought it would be fun to bust out his iMac G3 Dalmatian. Go ahead and check out that bonus video with the Computer Clan channel membership or on our Patreon. You'll also get many other goodies such as these sexy new wallpapers. Enjoy! All right, let's check back in. Okay, so this has been running for a couple hours. We're at 498 gigs restored, which seems like a little much because I don't remember the backup even being that big in the first place, but that's okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay, so we're back at the login screen. It looks like the restoration was good. Let's log in. And sometimes when you do this stuff, you got to expect maybe like 1 or 2 settings to have to be reset. Like some nuances will occur. Sometimes an application may not transfer right, and it's like, hey, you may need to reactivate and stuff like that. But most of the time that doesn't happen, and if you use stuff from the Apple App Store, it's usually pretty much automatic. You may need to re-sign in with your Apple ID. And I want to run the Blackmagic disk speed test just to see what the speed of the disk is. Now, my last one was about 800, 900 megabytes per second, I believe, so this should be, I think, about the same. I don't remember ordering anything faster, but it's kind of just a good thing to check. Start the test. Holy shit! Oh, this is a little bit faster than my last SSD. Oh my gosh. Wow, 1,346 megabytes per second read time. And again, this is a 6.5-year-old laptop.
Yeah, it really impressed me seeing that there was barely a dip from, I'm guessing, sequential versus random read speeds.
Yeah, I'm not really sure how it calculates this stuff, but it's mainly for testing like video performance. So if I zoom in here, you'll see, hey, at ProRes 422HQ, at these resolutions, you're fine. The only one it gave me a problem with was at 10-bit YUV 422 at 60 frames a second 4K. That was the only time the write speed wasn't sufficient. But I think we're okay with that because I don't even shoot in 422HQ. I am a pussy and shoot in LT, which is a lower bitrate, but it looks mostly the same. Unless you're doing like crazy effects work and like super, super high resolution stuff, you don't really need to shoot in like 444 or 422HQ or any of that. Okay, so there were a few bumps in the road, but the SSD is now in here. We have faster speeds and a lot more storage. So if I could go back in time and change anything, and I recommend this too, just have an enclosure so you can just directly transfer the data to the SSD without having to jump through all these hoops. But because we had to jump through hoops, we needed to have macOS installers on standby. So another thing I recommend, no matter what system you use, Linux distros, Windows, macOS, just have a couple flash drives with operating systems on them so you can boot off of them in case of an emergency or in case you need to recover data or something. It's always nice just to have quick access to external drives you can boot from. So, hey, all the lessons we learn from falling forward and making those mistakes. Failing fast, right? So, this was fun. I hope you learned something too. I know I did. Catch the crazy and pass it on.